Let's move on to the latest film from the Son of Saul director László Nemes, called Orphan. In Budapest in 1957, 1 year after the failure of the Hungarian Revolution, a young Jewish boy whose mother has raised him to believe that his father will return from the camps has his hopes shattered when a brutish stranger appears on the doorstep to take his family back. A movie that is gorgeously shot on 35mm, was also screened to us in Sala d'Arsena in that format. I think it was like a 3x2, and comes in at a runtime of 2 hours and 12 minutes. It's a Hungarian film. Like I already said, it's from the director László Nemes, who made an incredible film with Son of Saul about like the perspective of like you seeing the atrocities on the outskirts of the frame. And here he tells a coming of age story for a boy desperate to find some sort of belonging in a world that leaves him to fully explore his inner darkness. Decision that he makes, if like what path he goes down, all of it is bleak and depressing in the sort of reality that it lives in. I thought this would be like a really interesting canvas to like explore this sort of search of identity, and also being a really poignant and well shot like portrait of a time. The main theme is definitely like a coming of age. I think for the first half of the film, we don't get introduced to the person who the brutish stranger that reappears in the life of this boy, and we just spend a lot of time of him like going around. But like one of the first scenes, he like finds a gun and accidentally shoots it. That's not really stated as like, oh, this is dangerous, or this is Chekhov's gun, it will come back, and maybe it will, right? It is just in the sort of framework of we are just following him along, and there's not much of like a plot going on until he has like a catalyst for him to be on the search of like the truth and what he wants the truth to be, and what that informs him about himself, what he hates, who he hates, and getting that context that you're lacking as a kid of like the difficult times that have come before, us knowing it, him not knowing it, and then like him realizing that in real time. A lot of his reactions are very muted and not really like, it's a great kid performance, but he doesn't really get a lot of like, you know, close-ups where he like realizes something. He just has the same response to a lot of it, which is like resentment and anger towards his mother, his maybe his father who returns. I found it quite compelling, even though this is another film over 2 hours. Not everyone is going to connect with it. It has a specific look, a specific feel to it that can be quite grating. He also said that like he wanted to create a cinematic language that would allow the viewer to revisit the traumatic experience of a child trapped between the perception of a boy crushed by a menacing world and a family triangle he fails to understand. Ultimately, the film explores a question of inner darkness. It's just beautifully put, the way that he, you know, some director statements are kind of lackluster. This one delivers. It's pretty good. Yeah, no, Kevin, what did you think?
Well, that inner darkness is really beautifully conveyed by cinematography on 35mm, because it is really a cold era, but sometimes there are moments of warmth that shine through to that 35mm, especially on the backdrop of 1957, and some scenes are a bit colder that are also beautifully conveyed by the 35mm. Gregory Gadebois is for me the standout performance, because it is sort of this brutish stranger that comes into this boy's life, and he is trying to do good, because it is not like he's a pure bad person. The movie isn't totally conveying that, but he does have his flaws, a lot of flaws actually. He can be really brutish at times. He does want to enter the kid's life and do good, but he sometimes does more harm than he does want to do good. You are seeing this backdrop. There's also a subplot involving a person that is in hiding. How that subplot sort of gets shut off, and sort of, I guess.
Yeah, how that plays out
is it's a bit not satisfying. I don't know how to word it really. Sudden?
Yeah, it's very sudden, and you expected maybe a bit more out of it, but you end
especially
up
especially since it's so tied to his best friend, to the girl. Yeah.
And I think that friendship is also quite like interesting to the way that they interact with usually they just hang out and just stroll through the town, and it's these kids who also act in a way that feels way more like adult. Like it doesn't feel like that, not that childlike, because they don't have those places aren't really there. It's under like police is like always there, and they're happy to arrest people, to kill people on the street. If you run, then you must be guilty and you're fired at, because they have that sort of year before you had the Hungarian Revolution, and from those afterfacts you could see that like the military things, the police state stuff comes back around, and with that also the people who represent the exploiters during the time of World War II, right? Anyone who's not Jewish, and you can see those same things like happen again.
I mean, the infamous passport checks, that whole thing. But the moment, the Brutish stranger, who is possibly his father, does enter the story, there's a certain build-up. And that build-up is, gets like strung all the way until the end. When they enter a theme park, the orphan got played in the beginning of the of the festival, and that scene again stuck with me for the rest of the film festival. Like I will say this a couple of times, there are a few scenes in the whole film festival that are like a handful of scenes that will stay with me. The climax of Orphan will stay with me because it was so tense and you just did not know what was gonna happen. And I believe you said it was your favorite ending shot as well.
I like the one in Silent Friend as well, but this one has a bit more like purpose in the way that it's just like, the one in Silent Friend is just really long. But also during my screening, right in that pivotal moment, someone stood up and left, like a couple that was just being annoying and on their phone the whole time, and they literally blocked like part of the dialogue that was like the most like D scene of the movie. D scene. I missed like one or two lines of it because they were like,
I forgot about that.
I need to fucking punch the shit out of them, like both of them. But I also think the presence he has, like this guy never looks anything other than gigantic. He takes up like, even if he's like further off into frame, then he also has a sort of like there's a scene where they are like in a confined smaller space in a cellar, in an attic, and he's big, but there's also this sort of like softness to him as well. And I found that to be like it is not reducing this guy down to the sole antagonist. He did horrible stuff.
I remembered
but he doesn't reduce him. Like it's so well done.
I remember how I described him in my thoughts. He's I don't know if you're gonna agree with me. He's sort of an European James Gandolfini. Like you know what I mean?
I do have to get a visual on that.
It's like the Sopranos.
I know.
He sort of has that presence.
I know, but I'm just trying to look at like if I see that. It's just, I guess it's just like a bigger bald guy. I don't know if I see closer resemblance, but in
attitude I see resemblance, not only in look, like even in attitude, because he can be timid and sort of honest, but then you also have that roughness.
What's also like him trying to reintroduce himself into life is what he thinks is always like some sort of niceness, and the kid doesn't change the way he reacts to it. It's always the same. He hates him, and he can't really do anything about it. So the only thing left for the guy to do is to impose himself onto their family, and it's just.
I mean, we haven't even really spoken of the mother
anyway
as well.
Yeah,
because the mother is stuck in this situation that she has accepted. She can't get out of. Like she has accepted it. She's like, I know what this looks like, but honestly, this is just the best option for you and me, she says to her son at some point.
And the movie is very much told from the perspective of Andor, the kid. So a lot of like the understanding that we have what this mother is going through, we get it from the perspective of the kid, who antagonizes her as well. But you can see in like the moments where she has to get physical with the guy, that she does not enjoy like any of it.
No.
She's just doing it to get by. This director knows how to play with perspective so well and how to use it cinematically, this is an impressive film all around.
I totally agree. I mean, it's in my top 10 of the festival for a reason. Unfortunately, not as many people in our jury grid liked it as us. It was a 3.28 out of 5 on our jury grid, but I personally gave it a 8 out of 10. You gave it a
7.5 out of 10. I can't really decide.
Since when do you do halves?
I do halvesies when it's out of 10. Okay, but definitely one that we'd recommend. Yeah. But much like Son of Saul, you kind of have to be prepared of what you get into. It is a pretty trist and dark world that you're entering into.
And if you can watch it on film, I guess watch it on film.
Yes, I mean it's going to be difficult to get any screenings that will still have a 35mm, but it looked really, really good.